हेलो दोस्तों, एसएमई शक्ति से मैं आपका दोस्त विवेक मंगल। आज हम एक ऐसे टॉपिक पे बात कर रहे हैं जो एसएमई की प्रायोरिटी लिस्ट में होना तो चाहिए सबसे ऊपर, पर अनफॉर्चुनेटली होता है सबसे नीचे। जी हाँ, बात कर रहा हूँ ट्रेनिंग और डेवलपमेंट की। वी ऑल नो दैट लर्निंग शुड नेवर स्टॉप एंड सक्सेस इज द बाई प्रोडक्ट ऑफ व्हाट यू लर्न। ट्रेनिंग हेल्प योर एम्प्लॉइज टू एक्वायर न्यू स्किल्स, improve the existing skills, perform better in their functions, and most importantly, आपके यहाँ एक बेटर लीडर्स जो है वो बन के बाहर निकलते हैं। आज जिनसे आपकी मुलाकात करवा रहा हूँ, शी इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट हार्डवर्किंग पर्सन यू विल एवर मीट। शी इज एन एस ट्रेनर, लाइफ कोच एंड अ पब्लिश्ड ऑथर। प्लीज वेलकम प्रीति Sabharwal. Welcome, Preeti.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vivek, for such a lovely introduction and giving me this opportunity to speak about a topic for which I'm really passionate about.
Thank you so much for taking out time for us. थोड़ा सा आप मुझे अपनी प्रोफेशनल जर्नी के बारे में बताएं।
Okay. So as you are aware, I come from telecom software background. Okay. 10 साल जॉब करते हो चुके थे और एक नया जुनून सवार हुआ ट्रेनिंग एंड कोचिंग का. Okay. And it started happening in one of the most important phases of my life when I had conceived my second child, my daughter, Alina, as you know. Okay. And I was just reading a lot, gaining a lot of knowledge to create a robust foundation for my baby. Not just physical foundation is important, spiritual as well as psychological. So that was the whole idea about. And I learned so many things, read so many books, and I thought of sharing it with my colleagues. And I spoke to my HR that I want to do a program. Your life is your design. And it was completely rejected because I was a technical person. And they said, a life skills program, I think you're not the right person for that. And they didn't give me that opportunity. I kept on following up with them for 6-7 months. And in my 8th month of pregnancy, I finally did that program because I was so sure that I want to give this experience to my baby in the womb. And then when I did this program, I felt so good. I think the seed was sown in the pregnancy itself. And when I joined back after 6 months of maternity leave, I just couldn't adjust. I felt that I am born to do something else. And then, like you say, you must have heard that the whole universe conspires to make it happen when you really wish to have something, create something, right? So a series of triggers started happening, and I came to know about many behavioral sciences, a lot of resources. I did 7 international certifications in that period while I was doing a job. And I started doing workshops there because I got overwhelming response for my first workshop. I did more than 25 workshops in the company where I was working as a project manager, then got promoted as a senior manager in that phase. And then I felt that it's like now or never for me. So in the year 2014, I started my venture Thoughtful Engagement. In last these 7-8 years, I've trained hundreds of people, and very lucky, very blessed I feel that I've been able to pursue my passion in training and coaching. So this is all my journey. And
as I said, you are the most hardworking person I know. So that's really amazing. So in the context of manufacturing SMEs, why do you think trainings are important?
In the context of manufacturing, where the plant has to be fully utilized, where there is so much competition that you cannot just hide away or shy away from trainings. Because if you've heard of this kind of a quote, we can say, CFO says to CEO, what if we train people and they leave? Okay. The CEO replies, what if they stay and then they don't give you enough revenue, right? They're not skilled enough. So this is very important for manufacturing SMEs, where there are less number of people, less number of resources available, and they have to be fully utilized. Right. So training and coaching also for certain people, certain leaders now, who can become culture evangelists in the company. It becomes very important for the management to train them. Okay. So like if we talk about training, there are three parts of the success equation. Okay. One is the attitude, the drive, the enthusiasm, the energy, the confidence, the passion, which is required to perform any task. Then is the aptitude, which is the capability, the competencies, you call it skill, you call it know-how. So attitude plus aptitude plus resources. It can be time, it can be people management, it can be energy, it can be any infrastructure, it can be material, machine, anything. So some resources. So these three equals to success, right? Do you agree with me on this? So success means attitude, aptitude, plus some resources, right? So training works on aptitude, skills, competencies, know-how, whether it is a technical training or a functional training or a soft skills training, a leadership training, right? And the coaching more or less works on the attitude part, right? So these two things are important. Now, then those resources which may or may not be available in the optimum manner, they can be still like handled, dealt with, because if this attitude and aptitude have a higher score, or it has more value.
More value in your success equation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
So what are the different type of training that SME owners should look at for their team?
So first, I think the way I look at this, they should understand their key challenges. Okay. Is it about people not being motivated enough? Okay. That means attitude issues there. Maybe there are functional trainings or skill-based training that have to be provided to the employees, because they don't know the step-by-step way of performing their task. Maybe it is about creating leaders who can lead people, not just manage them. Like other resources, people need to be led, other resources have to be managed. That's the way I look at creating successes in any organization. Now, so it depends upon what they want. It is leadership development or managerial development, or anything functional or technical training. So depending on their needs, their requirements, they can hire a person like me or anyone who has experience in understanding the needs of a company, right? So what we call in our industries assessing training requirements. Now, first step is assessment. And for assessing, we have a lot of questions to ask. What are the key challenges? Where, in which area? So in that way, they identify what are the areas of improvement or where they want to create an impact, right? So once that is clear, we give a proposal to them that this is the way we can facilitate a competency development program or a transformational program. A program can be a transformational program, which is more of an attitude change. A program can be competency development, which is more about skills, maybe selling skills, maybe marketing skills, maybe negotiation skills, maybe communication skills, maybe presentation skills, right? So depends upon what they want. So once this is executed, once this is approved and executed, then there has to be some follow-up procedures. Okay. So once those follow-up procedures are done and the company feels yes, there is some improvement, then you can again relook at the program design and execution, keep on improving them.
Okay. So that was one of my questions as to how a SME owner should plan the training. So the first step is that they should first assess what the requirements are.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so based on the areas which they want to improve or create impact, a person of your caliber will give them a detailed plan as to how and what kind of training should be executed.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, are the training only focused on the managerial staff, or do you extend this training to all departments and all level of staff?
It depends totally on, like, it is company dependent,
Okay.
according to the budget they have and the needs they have, right?
Okay.
I have seen companies who are investing in trainings for every level, from even starters and freshers to middle management to senior management also. And some companies, maybe just middle management is the point of focus.
Okay.
It is entirely their decision. As such, I feel that there is need for everybody. है ना?
Okay.
I believe this, there is a law, if you're not growing, you're dying.
That's true.
And if you want to grow, you need to upgrade yourself on day-to-day basis.
Right.
And for that, training and coaching has to be there in the culture itself.
Right.
Right.
That is true. So how do you propose the change? Should the change start from top to bottom, or should it start from bottom to the top?
Definitely from top to bottom. If
Okay.
you want to create a sustainable change, it has to be like the top management has to be enrolled in this. You understand the word
Right.
enrolled? No,
Yes.
they not just understand it, they are touched, moved, and inspired by the idea of trainings and developing their employees. Once they're enrolled, they're able to enroll their subordinates, their departmental heads, and create those, again, culture
Okay.
evangelists or change agents in the
Okay.
company.
Okay.
Unless and until that happens, that then this whole intervention is not that meaningful.
Okay. So let's say they've implemented some plan. So how does an
Yeah.
SME owner evaluate the ROI of training?
Yeah. Again, what is my perception on this? Before they calculate ROI, they have to calculate ROE. Okay. What is ROE now? Return on expectations.
Okay.
Once a company is clear about that, then they can think of calculating their ROI, which is return on investment. And most companies are not clear about their ROEs. There are not enough meetings happening about what exactly are they expecting after the program.
Okay. Okay.
So now the next point is how to calculate ROI. Okay. Now there are levels to calculate ROI. The way, again, I understand it. Now people may differ on it. Now it's the way I have been doing it. This the first level where they get the feedback. Okay. Now feedback can be in the way of a feedback form, which they take from the participants who've gone through training or coaching intervention. Second is going through recording the testimonials, like video testimonials or audio testimonials, or taking written feedback which can be put somewhere. And also they can take their key takeaways from the program. Now what are your learnings, what are your unique learnings from the program? So this is first level, which is like a kind of a reaction or response feedback. What was their reaction, immediate reaction? Now once this is clear, level 1 is done. Second level can be kind of assessment. Okay. They can test their knowledge or the skills they have learned through a written assessment, through kind of a quiz, through kind of verbal assessment, through kind of brainstorming session or a group discussion. Again, it depends upon how the facilitator is driving it and how the company wants it to happen. So once level 2 is also done, and some people have cleared the way the facilitator and the company was expecting. Now level 3 is what are the changes on the behavioral level, on the competency level. Do they see some improvement in their maybe communication skills, maybe presentation, the way they're selling, or they're proposing to the prospects, how they're dealing with the prospects or their clients, their customers. So once level 3 is also done, behavior and competency is measured, and then level 4 is impact on the results, impact on the business. Is there any increase in sales? Is there any decrease in cost? So training means minimizing something, optimizing something, or enhancing something. You understand? These three things are there. How it is done, that is again depends upon the whole design.
Whole
No?
design of the program.
Some trainers focus on increasing the awareness level of the participants. Some trainers focus on developing skills, right? Depending upon the intervention and the facilitation and the process of facilitation, now there can be different ways. Ultimately, the business has to be impacted. Now, and business impact means something is minimized, means the cost, maybe the use of any resource, time, energy, right? The profits are increased, which is enhancing something, enhancing people development. Processes are better. So people, products, services, quality, there is another way of enhancing these and optimizing something. So when these things are done, they can see clear impact on their business. Some companies take it to the fourth level. Some companies leave it at the first level itself. It is their call entirely. Now, as a facilitator, I can only guide them or consult them. But ultimately, they have to take the decision to what level they want to measure. Right.
True. So do you see any reluctance in training sessions once, say, let's say the company has organized and you actually go to the training session? Do you see the reluctance in the participants?
Sometimes, yes. There is kind of a resistance when they are nominated by the managers or the management. You have to attend this training, right? And they are not keen to attend the training themselves. Sometimes in some companies I've seen there are only self-nominations for the training. So participants are excited. They are seeking for those learnings. So as a trainer, I completely enjoy the process of bringing out the change in them because they are committed learners. When they're forced to be a part of the program and they don't want to, you have to spend a lot of time and energy in first breaking that wall. I feel that's a waste of time that has to be done before the training. The training has to be utilized every minute for creating real value, not breaking that wall. So if they're already aligned before the program, why this training program? Now, are you ready? Check their readiness. Then the training can be on the other level, next level. So which I always want that to happen. Yeah.
So who will actually do, prepare these prepare these guys to understand that what the training is all about, whether it will be done at your end or it will be done at the management end?
Usually it is done at the management level. Okay. Usually it is done by their immediate supervisors because they are nominating their people. Ultimately, they are answerable to their management for the performance of their subordinates. So if they are clarifying the expectations and whatever queries they have, clarifying why this training is important, just spending maybe half an hour with them, not much time is required. That intention should be right. It's not about the time. That if the intention is right, then things come out to be right.
Right. Okay, that's true. So can you give us some example of training which you have provided and some tangible benefits which came out of it?
So look at I have been associated with many companies for presentation skills. Before it was like in-person presentations. After COVID era, it's all virtual presentations.
Right.
And when we got the feedback from their managers, how they're interacting with their customers, with their peers, internally in the company, as well as with the external customers and other stakeholders. And managers who had scored them from 0 to 10 at 4 and 5 maximum. After the training program, it is 6 plus 7 and 8 for some people. For some people, it is around 9. For very few people, it was 9. So you feel good that, see, in just few training programs with the right follow-ups, people have been able to raise their skills, enhance their skills from 5 to 8, for example. So there is immediate change in the way they are doing. Example, training is on managerial skill and the focus for the companies, how they manage meetings.
Okay.
which is day to day, the project status meetings or client meetings, any kind of meetings.
Okay.
And they are getting all type of resources, they're getting all type of skills before the meeting, what they need to do, during the meeting, what they need to do, after the meeting, what kind of follow-ups they can do. And the quality of the meetings is transformed with just this intervention. Now, how much time we spend on meetings, we know in
You're
the
right.
corporate world, how much time is spent. If those are not productive, you are like losing on your precious time, your precious resources,
True.
right? So if the quality of meetings is enhanced and it is seen, it is the impact can be seen from assessment on level 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the business is getting impacted. Now, those MOMs which were just there in the mail, the minutes of meeting, and there were nobody who was tracking them, monitoring them, that whether they are actually getting implemented, executed. If those things start happening, then we can utilize those meetings which are taking so much of the time and the energy of the employee.
Okay. So, are now after COVID, of course, are online training as efficient as face-to-face training? How are you
Yes,
adjusting to
now,
the?
yeah. See, of course, when we have an in-person interaction with anyone, it is much more enriching and it is easier to build rapport. It is easier to make a difference. And then there are many forms of engagement, right? Many form of activities, group discussions, a lot of props can be used where in on virtual medium as a trainer, sometimes we feel restricted, right? And then second thing which we face as a trainer, you're constantly seeking, gauging feedback from your audience, and you are adapting yourself according to the feedback that you're getting. On a virtual medium, there is sometimes no feedback at all.
That's true.
All videos are off. You can't see anyone. You don't know whether they're with you or not. So these challenges are definitely there. But I have been doing trainings for all these months now, almost 1.5 years now, and that the companies who are investing so much in the training still, because they are getting their ROI.
Okay.
So it's like we have to keep adapting according to the audience and see how we can create an impact. And there are some advantages of a virtual platform also. Like if a person is with you on a virtual platform, you can actually assume there is some repo.
Right.
He has n number of things to do, but he has chosen to be with you for this program. So that means there is some repo, some trust, some kind of respect is already there. You
True.
don't have to put your energy in building that, gaining that trust, right? You have to assume it is there and just deepen that repo with your participants and start doing it. And I feel that if you do it with the right energy, the right intent, human beings want to give back. Now, that is our innate nature as human beings. We want to give back. If the trainer is so enthusiastic, wants to give you something, the participants also want to give you back with their participation, with
True.
their
True.
feedback, with their appreciation. So that's very encouraging. So it can be done. And for some skills, definitely, I'll say that in person is definitely better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you say that an SME owner should invest in various trainings.
Yeah,
In the,
absolutely.
this is something which they should look at on a
Yeah,
timely
yeah,
basis, right? And this should be
absolutely.
part of the overall
Right,
development of their team.
right,
Okay.
right. Now, there are three types of training where SMEs are investing in. One is leadership, which is leadership and managerial development. Second is behavioral, right? There can be some behavioral issues, some motivation issues. And third is wellness trainings.
Okay.
After COVID, wellness has also become an important area.
Okay.
To build the immunity of the employee, that about their well-being, their overall wellness, that has
Okay.
also become important. So in any of these areas, they have to see how much weightage they want to give to these areas, how they want to go about it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the impact of a better soft skills in an SME environment? Let's say we're talking to training, giving training to a worker level or a foreman level. So
Okay.
how does a good soft skill improve the overall culture of the company there and the output of the of that particular department.
Right. So something which is immediately worked on, their interpersonal communication, right? Any training, when they're interacting with other participants, they're improving their interpersonal communication skill.
Okay.
Most conflicts, most problems in any company occur, there is a communication gap. There are misunderstandings happening, right? So if that is taken care through trainings, they see an immediate impact.
Right.
So this is again the first level where any training program you're doing, any training program, but you are actually working on their interpersonal communication skills.
Right.
Then some of the participants would always shine as a leader in a training, and other people want to follow them.
Okay.
Right. So because the trainer identifies who are the leaders in this particular group, and they help the leader to enhance their leadership skills. So again, even if the topic of the training is something else, leadership is also taken care if the training is being done by an experienced trainer. So he or she is already particular about these intangible things which are touched upon, even if they're not the focus points.
Okay.
Right. So
Right.
some part of the question is still answered. Please feel free to ask.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so now the SME owner is ready now. So what are the top 3 things he should look at when selecting a trainer?
Okay. So one is the experience.
Okay.
There is a specific industry which you're talking about, manufacturing, right? When I did my first program around 7 years back in a company, manufacturing company, I researched about what is special about this industry. Now, how do they manage? I visited their plant also to have a look. How do they work? Now, understand in what circumstances do they work, in what kind of environment they work.
Right.
If I had not looked at those things, I would have not had that empathy with my participants. Right. So some homework, if it is done, so the management has to ensure the trainer has that experience in that particular industry with that level of people.
Okay.
And plus the skill, which is the focus area for that particular training, how much experience in that particular skill.
Okay.
And I believe people buy you before they buy your services. If the SME owner doesn't like the trainer, how would he or she believe in his or her services? Right. So if the trainer is not being able to sell himself or herself that I am the right person, then I don't see any reason for appointing that trainer for any intervention. So you should be influencing enough as a trainer, and the person has to check whether you're able to influence him or her, whether you're able to understand the requirements.
Okay.
Now, how you listen to your SME owner. Now, for me, I'll just give one command to myself if I am having any meeting to assess the requirement. Preeti, you are there to listen. Listen very deeply. Empathetic listening. The generative listening comes into picture. Now, when you are understanding somebody. So even if you are meeting somebody for the first time, if you're listening, really listening, which is not natural for us as human beings, because we are already always listening to ourselves. So it's not easy to discard that speaking which is going on inside, that dialogue which is going on inside, and listen to the other person. So you have to give a very straight command. You're here to listen and just jot down the requirement and clarify what needs to be clarified. Right. So once all these things are taken care, SME owners has some confidence in the trainer. He knows that he has taken the right decision, not just on the basis of his past experience. In that conversation which is happening with the trainer, he's taking that decision.
Great. So what are the different areas of focus you have? How can the SME owners who are watching this benefit from your expertise?
Yeah. So depends upon basically the industry again now. Okay. Lana, so we are focusing on manufacturing. Now, I have done so many trainings for here in Faridabad also, some leading manufacturing companies.
Okay.
Now, I know what exact challenges they have,
Okay.
how difficult it is for them to work in that kind of environment. Now, manufacturing, a lot of noise is there when the plant is inside the corporate, the company itself. And in most of the companies, it's there. Now, in most of the companies, the plant is inside their infrastructure, right? So now in that kind of environment, to motivate them is itself a challenge. Now, that communication is itself a challenge. One, because I understand those things, I'm able to suggest. I understand their unique challenges also, and then I'll suggest, okay, now as per my understanding, we can start with these 3 trainings and then measure the impact and see which has to be done more out of these 3. Now,
Right.
lot of things we learn by hit and try, learn by doing. Now, we can talk for hours and hours, but unless and until we try something, we don't get the feedback.
Right.
And every company, every set of participant is a new. So you have to look at it as a unique set of people. So now you can start with a few trainings. Again, I cannot generalize that.
True.
No,
True.
as per my experience, every company has their unique needs. No, maybe they just want to focus on the leadership and managerial development. Maybe just they want to focus on the behavioral part.
Okay.
Whatever their focus area is, every aspect is important. They just have to do step by step and then start doing some intervention and seek the feedback.
So the idea is
Calculate
that
ROE and ROI. Yeah.
So the idea is they should be in touch with you, communicate as to what are the areas of focus which they have, what are the areas which they want to improve upon, and now based on that, you will create a plan for them.
Yeah. Exactly. And that plan has to be flexible. It's not that it is kind of a hard coding has been done, hard wiring. You have to be flexible. You don't know what would actually work.
Okay.
Maybe just team building activities work for some companies. Only there are gaps in the way there are interdepartment conflicts, inter-team conflicts happening, or just team building interventions are required.
Right.
So it depends upon the company, what they're looking for and what they want.
Okay. So this question is not for SME owners. So it is for, so how hard is your business? Will you suggest a new trainer to take up this line of business as career?
You're talking about training industry.
Yes.
I think when it is your purpose as well as passion, right? For me, this is a kind of a marriage between my purpose, passion, and profession. The why is very important. Why I want to train and coach people. Because the why was so big. If you have a big enough why, you figure out how. Tony Robbins said, if you have a big enough why, you figure out how. Right. So for most trainers, they are not clear about their why. That's why they start doubting themselves, or they start looking back. Oh, what have I lost? I never ever questioned my decision to take that leap of faith, which I took years back. It was not an easy decision for me. At the peak of my career, I left a lucrative career behind and took a leap of faith, trying out something new, establishing myself from scratch in a new industry. And it started happening in the right way because the why was very clear. So that passion is injected to your audience.
Thanks a lot, Preeti, for this wonderful session. I really feel that a lot of SME owners will benefit from the blueprint that you have provided today. दोस्तों, आज का सेशन कैसा लगा? कमेंट करके जरूर बताएं और फेसबुक पे SME to MNC ग्रुप ज्वाइन करके SME शक्ति की ताकत और बढ़ाएं। धन्यवाद।